This is Junk Dump, and today we're going to do a points distributor. I'm going to disassemble it and reassemble it. And this is for an Oldsmobile, but it's pretty much the same for any points distributor with slight variations. I'm going to start off by removing the cap and rotor. Now I'm going to remove the springs and weights from the mechanical advance inside the distributor. Now if you look where I'm pointing, I'm going to show you how the points work. As I rotate the shaft here, you can see those opening and closing slowly. Now through this close-up, you can see as I'm turning that shaft, as it moves on that cam, you'll see those points open and close. Now to adjust the points, you just take this Allen key here and you adjust this screw out, and what happens is you're adjusting how much the points are going to open and close as they run against that cam. I'll demonstrate this by adjusting it all the way out so that you'll notice that the points don't open and close anymore. Now to adjust your points, all you have to do is rotate that shaft until the points are sitting on one of the cam lobes at its highest point. In other words, they're open as far as they can possibly go. And then you're going to want to take a feeler gauge and you're going to adjust with that screw in and out until you get about 15,000, 16,000. It depends on the car. You will use the feeler gauge to set the gap properly when it's on its most open point. Now we unscrew and remove the points unit. And here's another close-up of the points and how they work. You can see I'll press with my finger and you'll notice the little armature moves up. And this octagon here is the cam that the points ride on. And now I'm going to apply a vacuum to the vacuum canister. That's going to rotate that plate, the advance, and unshroud those screws so that I can get to the screws, remove them, and then remove the vacuum advance canister. And now I remove the vacuum advance. Now I'm using a punch that's slightly undersized from the diameter of the roll pin, and I'm going to punch that roll pin through that bottom cam gear. Now I'm going to remove the distributor main shaft. Sometimes you need to spray some lubricant from the underside in order to get this out easier, but this one came out pretty easily. Don't forget this plastic tube that fits over this pin underneath the top of the shaft. This limits how much mechanical advance you can get. Now there's a tiny snap ring that goes around the top of this. You'll have to remove that first before you can go any further. Now that snap ring's off, we can remove the points base, and you can see that comes right off. This one has a wire underneath of it, and it is broken. Typically you'll see those connected somewhere, so just make sure you put that back when you're done. And now we're going to start putting it back together. Start by putting that points plate back on and then installing your snap ring. The snap ring installs just like you would a piston ring. It's So just set one end down in the gap and then roll it around, and you'll find it slides right into place. Next, I install the vacuum advance, then pull that vacuum, make sure it still works, and then I'll install the screws that hold it in place. And let's not forget that plastic cylinder underneath the main shaft. Now install that cam plate with the pin going through one of the holes in it so that the advance will work properly, and you can test that. So now that assembly is all together, the next thing you're going to want to grab is your bottom cam gear, and we'll put that roll pin into place. Now I'm going to fix the cam gear to the bottom of that by grabbing that roll pin and then gently tapping that through. Next up, we grab the points and take that assembly and screw that into place. This wouldn't be a bad time also to adjust the points if you wanted to. It's easy when it's out and everything's easy to get to. Next, I'm going to install the advance weight and springs. Now we're going to install the rotor. Notice that it's indexed as well so you don't put it on backwards. And when it's time to put the cap on, you can see here that it's indexed. But first we've got to plug in the points. In this case, somebody forgot the screw and they were just jammed in there. So I'm just going to put it back the way it was for now because I'm not running this on the car anymore. But yours will most likely have a screw that holds that. And that's going to conclude our teardown and assembly of an old points distributor. Like I said, this one was for an Oldsmobile, but it pretty much goes, they're very similar for other vehicles as well.